Hello everybody, this is the weekend edition of the Market Levels Report. It's actually Saturday, 20th of October, and let's take a look at just what exactly happened on Friday. It's called a long liquidation day. Obviously, something came in the morning briefing. We were talking about these levels, how they're important. If the market keeps, and I said, if the market keeps chipping away at this area, there's very good likelihood that we were going to range extend lower. Now, I wasn't at all anticipating a complete blowout, but you can't get the blowout until you get some chipping away through, and defeating some of the levels holding long inventory, and that long liquidation start. And the long liquidation really started right on this bar as we came off the 1450s and change. That's where the big breakdown started to come. It was pretty strong, and then it really accelerated midday. So if you come take a look at this, this is roughly started pretty strong leading up to the U.S. cash session open. Here's U.S. cash session open period. We were selling off, little kickback, sellers stayed in control and just dominated. And then you can see here we really got some long liquidation acceleration from about 10 o'clock U.S. Central Time going forward. Now leading up to, this is an important bar here as we're coming through the 1435s area into the 1434s. That was where we cleaned out our last level of known held long inventory. So that's it. At that point, within that bar, this market went to extreme out of balance open interest. There was no longer any evidence of anybody that's ever come into the market from this point in time at the 1423s, 24s area. Anybody that came into the market long at this point in time going forward had liquidated out. So you can see everybody got out of the market for the most part before the market returned to the pricing levels where they initiated that long inventory. So they were still cashing out with some return on those positions. From that point forward, we had a little range extension lower on newly initiated. So you got to imagine there's newly initiated sellers joining the crowd too. And we get a little bit of range extension. Price comes down to the lower 1430s area, bounces a bit. Some of those that are short buying to cover, taking profits. But you can see people must still be, having a lot of limit order on the offer side. They're absorbing a lot of this buying, and price is not able to have a linear bounce. It pretty much gets held in a tight range. And then newly initiated selling, recent buyers, any recent buyers that came in trying to pick a bottom, they start letting go. And we get into that back and forth activity of a market that is trying to find support, but is continuing to have people selling into the market activity. They're following equity, selling off, and overall we just get the net effect is the sellers just keep maintaining control. We had one little covering bounce here. Very light buying as soon as the market lifted 1431s and change right into the very last portion of the U.S. cash session and of the ES Globex session, just pure raw selling right into it. So now we're getting anybody that was still trying to hold some long inventory bailing, and then those that are working end of day orders to be a seller, possibly anticipating additional selling into new week. They're coming in here right into the end of the day when end of day type strategies trigger sell response. And so here we are. The market now is sitting at the 1423s area, and the market as of right the very last tick of the day at Friday, coming up to 3:15 p.m. U.S. Central Time, the ES is basically completely out of any significant held long inventory. So this is interesting. Going into Sunday night Globex reopen at 5 p.m. Chicago time or U.S. Central Time, this is a market now that is everybody and their mother is short and nobody of any significant position size is long. So the market's closed out the day at extreme out of balance. So let's take a quick look at the open interest, and you can see, everybody's short and nobody's long. That is the open interest ratio, 99% short, 99.9% short, and even 0.1% long. It's just a market that closed out where just nobody wanted to be long. Everybody that was trying to be long let go. So that's a very negative day. Sunday night now, Globex reopened. We might get some initial into the thinner order book. We might get some initial trade down. But don't be surprised if some smart money comes in here and tries to juice this market a little bit Sunday night in a low volume environment and get some bounces in here. Another thing too, at once the European markets open at 2 in the morning Central Time, we'll see if the European markets, if they go into selling, or if euro dollar selling off, US dollars rallying. Very likely we could keep trading lower, but it's going to be trading lower mainly on newly initiated sellers, because as far as at the close of Friday, there just isn't any long inventory of any significance or long position supply in this market. It's vacant of long position supply. So this market is ripe for those that are heavily short doing some buying to cover into any new lower prices offered. It's going to be a little bit interesting and ratchety. The market gets a little ratchety, and then things should clean up a bit as we get into maybe mid to later part of the European cash markets session as we transition into US cash market session. It's going to be very interesting. Watch that market levels report leading up to the Monday open. I'm sure there's going to be some changes, and you're going to want to know how the market is set up going into the US cash session open. So this is a classic long liquidation day, and as soon as the market right at this point let go of all the last long inventory, we were driven lower by continued willingness by people to get into this market as a seller, whether they're selling to hedge against equity long positions they have, or they just think join the crowd, get on the short train. Whatever the case may be, this market is ripe for some short covering bounces and some very interesting activity with the Globex reopen Sunday night and then into Monday morning's US cash market open. So just wanted to give you a critical update for Market Levels Report Weekend Edition.